I, Angi, 35F, was always giving away my money and things to my sister-in-law and husband. But when they eyed my dream car, it was the last nail in the coffin. I, Angi, never believed in signs. You know, those little nudges the universe supposedly gives you when you're about to make a terrible mistake. Maybe if I had, I would have recognized the red flags. The gut-wrenching feeling that gnawed at my chest every time my sister-in-law, Brittany, smiled at me with just a little too much sweetness. Or the way my husband, Derek, always dismissed my concerns about her with a patronizing pat on the hand, like I was being dramatic. But I wasn't. And now, sitting behind the wheel of my brand new car, the one I had dreamed of since I was 17. The one I worked 2 jobs for and saved every dime, I knew the truth. The last nail was in the coffin. I could still hear Brittany's smug voice echoing in my ears, could still feel the sting of Derek's betrayal as he took her side. But they underestimated me. They thought my kindness was weakness. That my loyalty made me a fool. Oh, they were so very wrong. The day I bought the car was the happiest I'd been in years. It wasn't just a car, it was freedom. Midnight black with sleek curves and leather seats that smelled of promise. A BMW M8 Grand Coupe. The car I had pinned pictures of to my bedroom wall as a teenager, vowing to own one someday. And that day had finally come. I remember running my hand along the smooth hood, the glossy finish reflecting the sun like a mirror. My fingertips tingled as I gripped the steering wheel for the first time, the engine purring beneath me like a content predator. It was mine. Every dollar that went into it came from my blood, sweat, and tears. When I drove it home, the neighborhood kids stared with wide eyes. Brittany, however, stood on the porch with her arms crossed and that sly, calculating smirk playing on her lips. She didn't say a word. Not then. She just watched. Derek came out, ran his hand over the hood, and whistled low under his breath. Damn, babe. You really did it. There was a note of surprise in his voice, as if he hadn't truly believed I could pull it off. Yeah, I said, grinning ear to ear. I did. Brittany cleared her throat behind him. I didn't miss the way she ran her fingers along the side mirror, eyes glimmering with something that wasn't admiration. It was envy. Pure and dripping. I should have known then. The truth is, this wasn't the first time Brittany and Derek had taken from me. No, they were pros at it. For years, I had been the reliable one, the one they leaned on when they needed a little extra. It started small. Brittany was always short on rent. Always. She knew I wouldn't let her be evicted. So, I covered it. Just this once, Angi, I promise. That once became twice, then 5 times. I told myself she was just going through a rough patch, then came her credit card bills. She swore it was just a temporary setback. Could you spot me $1,200? Just until next month? But next month never came, and Derek? He wasn't any better. When we were newlyweds, I was the one who worked overtime to cover our expenses. I waited tables after my 9-to-5 job while he jumped from one half-baked business idea to another. Trust me, babe, he would say, flashing me his most charming smile. This one's going to take off. But it never did, and then there was the loan. A $10,000 loan I took out in my name when his business failed. He swore he'd pay me back. But he didn't. Of course he didn't, and still, I stayed. I loved him. I believed in him. I forgave Brittany, again and again, convincing myself she was just misguided. But they were leeches. Sucking me dry with every sweet word and phony apology. It started a week later. I came home from work to find Brittany in my driveway, leaning against my car like she owned it. She was all smiles, her blonde hair pulled back in a perfect ponytail, her bright blue eyes wide with faux innocence. Hey, Angi. She chirped. I was just thinking. You know how I've been struggling with my old car? She gestured vaguely toward her battered Civic, which had seen better days. Would you consider selling me this one? I'll pay you in installments. I blinked at her. Sell you my new car? I repeated, as if I'd misheard her. She pouted. Yeah, come on. You've got such a generous heart. I could really use it. You know how unreliable mine is. And, well, you've got a good job. You can always get another car later, right? I laughed. I actually laughed because I thought she was joking. When I realized she was dead serious, the humor died on my lips. Britt, I didn't buy this car to flip it. It's my dream car. I've wanted it for years. Her eyes narrowed slightly. The sweetness in her voice cooled into something sharper. Right. Of course. She pushed off the car with a sharp jerk of her hand and stalked away without another word. I should have known she wouldn't let it go. 2 weeks later, I came home from work, exhausted, only to find Brittany inside my house. Her shoes were on the couch, and she was drinking one of my bottles of wine. Derek sat across from her, laughing. The sight was jarring, it felt wrong. She looked too comfortable. That too at my home. Hey, babe. Derek greeted, oblivious to my growing irritation. Britt's been telling me about her car trouble. It's gotten pretty bad. Brittany turned toward me with wide, pleading eyes, her lips forming that fake, doe-eyed pout. Hey, Angi. You know, Derek and I were thinking. Maybe it would be best if you gave me your car. I froze. Gave you my car? She nodded earnestly. Yeah. Your family. I mean, come on. I'm practically like your sister. We share everything. I looked at Derek, expecting him to step in. To tell her she was out of line. But he didn't. Instead, he smiled like it was the most reasonable request in the world. Babe, it's not a big deal. We'll get you another one later. I stared at him. The man I married, the one who had promised to cherish and support me, had just casually thrown my dream to the wolves. No. My voice was calm but final. Absolutely not. Brittany's face twisted into an ugly scowl. Don't be so selfish, she spat. But I turned and walked away, heart pounding. I thought that would be the end of it. I underestimated them. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Derek was gone. My stomach sank with that gnawing sense of dread. I rushed outside, barefoot, still in my pajamas. And my car was gone. My lungs squeezed painfully. I spun around and stormed back inside, my heart slamming against my ribs. Derek was in the kitchen, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. Where is it? I hissed. He didn't even look at me. I gave it to Brittany. My ears rang. I thought I misheard him. You did what? He finally glanced at me with that same condescending smile he always wore when I was angry. Relax. She needs it more than you do. You're being unreasonable. I saw red. My vision blurred with rage. You gave away my car? That I paid for? She's family, he sneered, suddenly defensive. And you're making a huge deal out of nothing. We can get you another one. I stared at him, disbelieving. My hands were shaking. It was the last nail in the coffin. They thought I would roll over. They thought I would cry, scream, and then forgive. They didn't know me at all. I called the police. Reported my car as stolen. Because it was. When the officers showed up at Brittany's house and demanded the car be returned, she had the audacity to scream at me, calling me a traitor and a bitch. But she handed it over. She had no choice. And Derek? He thought he could weasel his way back into my good graces. Come on, Angi, he said, rubbing the back of his neck, eyes downcast. It was just a car. Just a car. I didn't say a word. I filed for divorce. I made sure he walked away with nothing. But that wasn't enough. I wanted them to feel it. I hired the best attorney I could find. Dragged Derek through months of proceedings, exposing his financial irresponsibility. His betrayal. By the time it was over, he was left with nothing but debt. As for Brittany, I didn't need to touch her. The universe took care of her. The repo men came for her Civic. She lost her job. Last I heard, she was couch surfing. Divorce was supposed to be the clean break, the final slash that severed Derek from my life forever. I imagined it so clearly, walking out of the courthouse with my head high, my car parked outside like a beacon of freedom, and the weight of years of betrayal lifted from my chest, but Derek refused to let me go. His golden hen. It started with the texts. At first, they were harmless enough. Hey. Can we talk? I miss you. Can we at least have dinner? You're making a mistake. We can fix this. I ignored them. Deleted them without replying. But Derek wasn't one to be ignored, his messages grew longer. Desperate. I can't live without you. I messed up, okay? I'll make it right. Just talk to me. You owe me that much. I owed him nothing. But still, I stayed silent. That's when the calls started. At first, it was once or twice a day. Then 5. Then 10. My phone buzzed relentlessly, his name flashing on the screen like a parasite that wouldn't die. One night, at 2 a.m., my phone rang again. The display glowed with his name. I stared at it, my fingers trembling. I was exhausted. My nerves were frayed, my stomach a knot of tension that wouldn't ease. When I didn't pick up, he left a voicemail. I shouldn't have listened. But I did, his voice was thick with frustration. Angi. I know you're listening to these. Pick up the damn phone. His tone darkened. You're being a child. I'm your husband. You think you can just walk away? Like I'm nothing? My throat tightened. I deleted the message. The next morning, I woke to the sound of someone knocking on my door. No, pounding. I froze in my bed, heart slamming against my ribs. I told myself it couldn't be him. He wouldn't just show up. But when I peered through the peephole, my blood ran cold. Derek stood there, fists clenched at his sides. His eyes were bloodshot, his jaw set hard. He looked unhinged. I didn't open the door. Angi, he called through the wood, his voice eerily calm. Let me in. I pressed my hand over my mouth, holding my breath. Come on, he cooed, his voice softening in that manipulative way I knew too well. I just want to talk. You've been ignoring me. That's not fair. I clenched my eyes shut, wishing him away. But he didn't leave. The knocking grew louder. Angrier. You can't just throw everything away. He barked. You think you're better off without me? You're nothing without me. I backed away from the door, shaking. When he finally left, my legs gave out. I slid to the floor, clutching my phone in trembling hands, but he didn't stop. The next day, I walked out of my office to find him leaning against my car in the parking lot. My car. I froze, my heart lurching. He smiled like nothing was wrong. Hey, babe. Thought I'd surprise you. My stomach twisted. Get away from my car. My voice was firm, but inside, I was shaking. His smile widened, but his eyes glimmered with menace. Don't be like that. He purred. Come on. Let's just talk. No. I reached for my phone. His smile faltered. Don't do that. I held it up anyway. Leave. Now. Or I'll call the police. For a moment, I saw the cold rage flash across his face, the barely contained violence lurking beneath his fake charm. But then, just like that, he flashed me his familiar, charming grin. All right, he said with mock surrender, holding his hands up. I'm going. No need to be so dramatic, He walked away slowly, deliberately, as though he owned the parking lot. As though he still owned me, but it got worse. Derek started showing up everywhere. At the grocery store. At the coffee shop I went to every morning. I'd look over my shoulder and there he was, standing just far enough away that it seemed coincidental. And Brittany? Oh, she was in on it too. I started receiving texts from unknown numbers. I knew it was her. You're such a bitch for leaving him. You're ruining his life. He still loves you. You'll regret this. One day, I found a single note tucked under my windshield wiper. It read, "You'll never get rid of me." Then came the incident at the cafe. I was sitting by the window, scrolling through my phone when I felt that familiar, prickling sensation of being watched. I glanced up. Derek was standing outside, staring at me through the glass. When our eyes met, he didn't look away. Instead, he walked inside. My stomach flipped. My hands went clammy. I immediately stood, clutching my purse. But he blocked my path. Going somewhere? He asked smoothly, his voice barely above a whisper. I backed away. Derek, you need to leave. He smiled. Why? I just want to talk to my wife. He emphasized the word wife with a twisted sense of ownership. I turned sharply, heading for the exit. But he grabbed my wrist. The grip wasn't hard enough to leave a bruise. Not yet. But it was firm. Possessive. I felt my breath hitch, my chest tightening with panic. Don't walk away from me, he hissed. People were starting to notice. A man at the counter frowned, his eyes flicking between us. My voice shook. Let me go. And he did. He raised his hands slowly, feigning innocence, flashing a disarming smile at the onlookers. Hey, it's okay, he said softly, loud enough for them to hear. She's my wife. Just a misunderstanding. I felt my hands trembling. I walked out of the cafe, not daring to look back. I sat in my car, locked the doors, and sobbed. But I wasn't broken. No. I was done being their victim. The next day, I walked into the courthouse and filed a restraining order. I handed over the screenshots of his texts. The note from my windshield. The voicemails, each one more venomous than the last. I told them everything. The order was granted. And when he violated it, because of course he did, he was arrested. Brittany tried to defend him, shrieking at the officers about how I was just being dramatic. But I didn't care. I stood with my head high, watching as he was led away in handcuffs. And me? I drove my car out of town. Windows down, wind in my hair. Freedom. Sweet and untouchable. They thought they could take my dream. They forgot that I was the one who built it. And I wasn't about to let anyone take it from me. Not him. Not her. No one.